Hi y'all, Joni here from Yaya, here to do a full moon spread for you. We just had our full moon arrive yesterday under the sign of Leo, and we've got a couple of weeks of the waning cycle, and this is a great time for you to let things go. So I'm going to do a spread for you to help guide you on what things might be able to be let go in your life so you can make space and room for the new things that you want to build on. So, allow yourself to think about that as I'm going through the cards. I hope they speak to you and I hope you enjoy. My full moon spread starts with number 1. So now this is the card that comes up for you or your situation in this specific spread that I'm doing for you. So remember, during the full moon, we are working towards letting things go that are no longer serving us. We are looking to discover those things that we need to let go. So this card represents courage, and the courage card comes in to remind us that we are going to sometimes have to stand our ground about things that we believe in and the ideals that we have in our life, and they're not always going to meet up with other people's ideals. So this card reminds you to stay courageous in your endeavors, okay? The next card that comes up is going to be what is going to be illuminated for this next cycle, for this waning cycle for you. So what's going to be illuminated is the Seven of Pentacles. Now the Seven of Pentacles talks about frustration, right? And that is challenging. It's challenging when we feel like we're putting the work into something and we're not seeing any results. But in truth, a lot of times results come later than what we originally think they will. So I used to have somebody who trained with me, and they came to me and they said, oh yeah, if I don't see results within 6 weeks, I go to the next thing and I don't stick with this. And for anything that takes that brings you a lot of good, it's probably going to take longer than 6 weeks. So recognize where you are being courageous in your life and allow yourself to pay attention to where you might feel frustrated and where you don't feel like you're getting your due. And remember that you will still get all of that work that you've put in to whatever you're doing comes back to you. It comes back to you, but it might not come back to you in the way that you are thinking it's going to come back to you. So keep your eyes open. The next card is going to be what needs to be released. So now this card is another fire card, the King of Swords. The King of Wands. Now, the wands are all about fire and action and initiation. Now, the king comes in to remind you that you're developing the art of taking control and recognizing that you can take control, that you can be this master of the things that you survey around you, and that you can be the one who takes the action, you can be the one who makes the decisions. And it's not always easy when we recognize that about ourselves. So releasing your doubts that you are fully capable of taking things on your own is what this card's going to be reminding you of in this spread. Now, the next card that comes up is going to be what you need to understand. Oh, another Pentacles card. This is the Five of Pentacles. I love that what's being illuminated and what you need to understand are both cards that represent stress and frustration. Frustration? Anxiety. But anxiety is typically very often, it's something that we put on ourselves. It's something that we allow to come in. And what happens is when we allow that anxiety to make us think that we're not worthy, to make us think that we're not going to get the things that we're going for, to make us think that we have to be so stressed out. The card basically, what's the word that I'm looking for? It's different signals than what we're wanting to send out into the world. We're wanting to be positive, and we're wanting to have faith that what we're putting out there is going to come back to us. And we have to keep the faith, because if we don't, we allow anxiety to come in, and in truth, it doesn't do anything good for us to be anxious about it, to get to worry about it, to be frustrated about it. So allow yourself to tap into that, because this is what you need to understand, that there's no reason for you to hold on to that anxiety, because It all goes away at some point. We are able to get into the building. They got a big old building behind them, and they can see that it is there, but they got to go through some of the storm, some of the windstorm before they get there. And so they can still see that it's there. We need to trust that it's there. The next card is the energy that we're going to bring in. And that's great because this is reevaluation. This card reminds you to go into your heart of hearts, to pay attention to what is driving you, to what is bringing you the frustration and anxiety, and reevaluate whether or not that's doing you any good. Reevaluate whether those decisions that you've been making are leading you in the direction that you want to go. Pay attention, right? Now, the support that is already available to you. Wow, the Death card. The Death card, the support that is already available to you is the ability to change. Now, when we try to not change, when we try to force ourselves to remain the same, we can end up hurting ourselves, right? Change is inevitable. Change is growth. So this card comes to remind you that it's okay to change. You have the ability to change, and you have support to do so. If you don't recognize the support and you don't allow yourself to start making those changes, you might find that it feels kind of frustrating and it makes you have some anxiety. So remember that, so that way you can find your outcome. The outcome is the Prince of Pentacles. Now, the Prince of Pentacles, again, with those Pentacles cards, the Prince of Pentacles comes in to remind you that it is a time to be, again, with the Courageous card, trustworthy and stubborn when it comes to the goals that you have that you want to build upon. Sometimes we decide that we want to do something like, oh, I'm not going to eat out as much anymore because I want to be healthier in my diet. And then every night the next week we get an invite from a friend and we want to go see this friend. We want to go to dinner with this friend. But we've already set that intention to change. We've already set that intention to change, and we have to be courageous in our endeavors. So, it's not always easy, but it is possible. And if you allow yourself to be trustworthy and stubborn in the goals that you seek, the things that you want to change, the things that you want to let go of during this waning cycle will bring you to a place where you have more space for the things you want to build upon for the new moon. Have a great day, and namaste.